Good evening, people. Welcome to YouthViewz Sunday live stream post general election 2019 special. Now I have with me my my usual guests on a Sunday. Cameron.
Oh, hello.
You okay?
Yep, I'm good.
Good. Nice to have you again, my friend. And our usual guest, Tom. Tom, how are you?
I'm all right, thanks. You?
Good, yeah, not too bad. Slightly dejected voices I am sensing there, and obviously we'll get into the general election fallout, no doubt. Before we start, guys, and this is for our viewers, I just wanted to show everybody my T-shirt that I'm donning here at the moment. This is a T-shirt that was made by a company who is owned by my friend, and as he was so kind to make me this T-shirt in really good time, I would like to take this opportunity to plug my friend's website, and anybody who is watching that wishes to order a T-shirt similar to this or any other design you may have. Let's just bring it on screen. famfabrics.co.uk. You basically jump on and you can customize your own T-shirt, and I must say actually the prices are very competitive, and as you can see the brilliant quality of the T-shirt that I am suited in now. You have an opportunity to even order one of these if you wish. So I thought I'd get that plug out of the way. Thank you, guys. Thursday night was one of the, for me personally, as a Labour supporter, one of the most difficult days in my life, to be fair, in terms of stomaching the result. I think it's fair to say that everybody who I was aware and sort of associated with, I was hearing a lot of positive sounds about Labour, and everybody was saying that they'd voted Labour in my circle. I've spoken to a few individuals who were ex-Tory voters that were changing their votes to Labour. So when that exit poll came out, and generally speaking, the exit poll is D-Day in many elections, not always predicted to be a perfect prediction, but generally speaking, it can give a good indication. I must say that many hearts dropped, certainly on the Labour side, and Tory Twitter was going mad that evening. Me personally, I stayed up and watched a few hours, but as I saw some of the so-called red wall fall and one of the big major scalps taken by the Tories, I could see that actually the exit poll was slowly manifesting into what it had predicted. So without further ado, guys, what I wanted to start with, Tom, if I could bring you in first, my friend, I just want to get your very quick reaction to the exit poll. I know that we were in communication with each other. I know that we share a group, and that we were talking of our shock. But just give me a bit of a taster. Did you believe that exit poll, Tom?
Well, the exit poll has never really been far off these past couple of elections. When I came in, I kind of just knew that was it. I stayed up and watched the results come in until about 5:30, and it was almost spot on, the exit poll. So when it came in, because of how accurate it's usually been, it wasn't going to be like 90 or 100 seats off, was it? It just showed that the Tories have already had a majority, and that we were stuffed. So I wasn't very pleased when the poll came in. It was very depressing.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. I think depressing is the right word. Were you shocked though, Tom?
Yes and no. And I always had the feeling that the Tories were going to get a majority. I thought it was more likely. I thought the highest likelihood was a hung parliament. then the Labour majority was always going to be at the bottom,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I never thought we would get in.
Yeah.
But I didn't think we'd lose this badly. I just didn't think they'd be this crushing.
Yeah. Did you lose your seat?
No. Clung on to ours. Like mine's quite a safe Labour seat. We have an 11,000 majority last election.
Yeah.
Like over the past few years, it'd been like trickling down a bit. We went from 14,000 in like 2000. Was it 2005? Was it? Yeah. Yeah, about 2005, and it slowly trickled down to 11,000 in 2017. But now it's down to 5,000, which was a huge jump. We lost 6,000 votes. We still got in. We still we got 15,000 votes in total, and the second place was Tories at 9,000. But our 5,000 majority, about 5,500 majority is.
Were you worried though still? Because I mean, I know you're talking about majorities of past elections, but I think it's fair to say that many of us. I mean, there were majority. There were really safe seats where I live, and I know we're going to bring Cameron in a few minutes. But there were many safe seats. Were you worried at all that maybe your seat might be one that falls?
Well, no, because that's the thing that with our seat is we had about 2/3 of the entire electorate on our side, and even though we lost 5,000, we were still miles ahead of the Tories, because the Tories have stagnated for about 10 years now in our constituency. They've never got above 9,000, and in this election they actually lost votes. They lost about 100 votes, which means the people we lost votes to were the Brexit party.
Yes.
That would have been a threat if the Tory party were sternly had at least a third at second place, but they didn't. That's the thing. They just hated so much around you, and we had that large of a majority in a sense. The Tories couldn't come close, but it's sad.
Okay, and I mean, let me just sort of introduce viewers to Cameron's perspective before we bring you in, Cam. What the discussions that Cam and I and many others in the Bullet Group have been having over the past few months is regularly characterised by Cameron around the disharmony with the Labour Party in northern seats. Now, Cam, if I remember correctly, you are from Doncaster, is that correct?
That's close enough. I live basically between Doncaster and Rotherham.
And whose seat is it that your MP?
It was Caroline Flint.
Caroline Flint.
Now it's a Tory called Nicholas Fletcher.
Oh, gosh, you couldn't have had a worse name replace your MP. And historically quite a safe seat, that one, Cameron.
Right.
Labour seat.
I put it this way: it's never been Conservative in history.
Oh wow!
It's always been Labour since the seat was created.
Wow, that is astonishing. So yeah, just to sort of let our viewers know, in terms of Cameron has been saying this for a very long time. He's been talking about the apathy of Labour voters in the area that he lives in. And let me be honest here, Cameron, and you may have deduced some of this feeling from myself. I can't say that I ever believed you through the general election, and I'll tell you why. My sort of feelings with the general election and what's sort of going on in terms of the diversion the Labour Party wanted to make away from Brexit, I actually thought that was working, and I thought that actually there are more people out there that are concerned with their livelihoods, the destruction or the potential destruction of the NHS, hospital waiting lists, poverty, homelessness, you name it, all of the stuff that Labour's been trying to sort of fight an election on the subject of. I actually thought that the diversion may work. But you have been saying, to be fair to you, Cameron, all along in the months that I've even known you, and even on some of these streams, you have been saying that do not underestimate the apathy that exists out there in the northern seats of this country and the so-called red wall. It's fair to say that I didn't believe you, and obviously I'm happy to say that actually you were right on this. But just give us a bit of a background, Cameron, in terms of your reaction to the exit poll, but at the same time reinforcing the predictions that you made.
Oh, I thought ever since Farage started to put out the Conservative seats, particularly that down south, I always thought 100% was impossible after that. I deep down thought there'd be a Tory majority.
Yeah.
And what happened in a lot of these seats is that the Brexit Party pulled away from Labour. And if it wasn't for the Brexit Party, Callum Flint probably still be my MP. The turnout dropped in these areas massively. It's not just my seat, where it's now Tory. There's Labour seats that had huge majorities that have been completely slashed. Yvette Cooper won, I think it was less than 1,000 votes. And Moban is in a marginal seat. Doncaster North is marginal. Whatever Durham is marginal. Rotherham is marginal. This was enormous. Seats that have always been Labour, the voters collapsed. Apathy, Brexit Party, a little bit of the vote with the Conservatives, but not too much, actually, in South Yorkshire. Another interesting thing that's happened. Rother Valley, the site of Orgreave went Tory. Not by tiny margin. That's about a 7,000 Tory majority there.
Yeah.
It's spectacular. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
And so many people voted leave, and I made the argument that in a lot of these constituencies, actually, the majority of the vote wanted to leave the European Union. I saw it on the doorstep. I volunteer in the local community. When I speak to people, I get that feeling.
Were you campaigning, Cam? Did you do any campaigning?
Yes, and the one, people said things like this at the doorstep. We can vote at the European Union. No, we can't. Sorry, we can't vote at the European Union, but we can vote at the Tories.
Yeah.
And if Labour doesn't want to listen to us, then so be it. And that's the sort of things that people said. And you think about it, they witness people block Brexit since the referendum.
Yeah.
Parliament. And people were absolutely disgusted and turned off by it.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Brexit was a big problem, but there's also other underlying problems with the Labour Party locally.
Yeah.
Labour's always been in power, and people associated them with the establishment. People thought they weren't doing enough for the community. People thought they were out of touch. A lot of Labour MPs who considered them parachuted.
Yeah.
I mean, this Conservative MP I got now is, I think, it's the first MP that grew up in Doncaster since 2005.
Yeah. Just for our audience sake, welcome to Callum Ferguson, known to our streams briefly in the beginning when we used to stream. Callum, thanks for joining us.
Hello.
How are you?
That didn't go well, did it?
What, the election or?
Well, no, the election,
Yeah.
the Labour Party,
Yes.
Scotland,
Well,
England, Wales.
I don't know if you've been catching our last few minutes. We've just been discussing the.
Oh, you were talking to Cameron, and I've talked to Cameron since the election. Yeah, Labour have what happened to Labour in Scotland has happened to Labour in England now, and hopefully the second kick in the teeth will be the one that wakes them up. What Labour need to do basically is stop listening to people who think they know what they're doing, and instead listen to people who do know what they're doing. Corbyn and his group have had their try, and now we need to take over. Labour needs to be fundamentally overrun by people who do want local communities to be represented at a local community level, who want to build the Labour Party up from the bottom. They need people to actually introduce policies which can connect with people. You need to go back into the community. You need to hammer them with every single thing the Tories are doing 24/7 over the next 5 years. Because ultimately, if you don't try, you'll never win. If you lie on your back, you can't get back up. And if you don't do that, then if you don't expose every single thing the Tories are doing and make it clear to people that continuing with them is the riskier option.
Yeah. Well,
and put in an alternative which is convincing enough that they will change back.
Yeah.
And convince people who have never voted in these communities, people who have maybe not voted Labour since before the 90s, because you could probably do no more about this than I do, but there are people who you probably did used to vote Labour that are completely turned off because Labour really do seem like they haven't been a working party for 45 years, because they haven't really. No party has actually represented the majority of people in 50 years.
Yeah. Let me just bring this, share this screen, guys, because this is an interesting interview that I heard today. Just listen to this. Oh my God, I don't think I've shared it properly. Sorry, guys, just bear with me. Stop screen. Share screen, share audio. I should have put. I don't know if you guys have caught this doing the rounds on Twitter, but it was on Sky News today.
Policy that
Let's start it again.
Keir Starmer led us to a policy that did not listen to Labour leaders who urged caution. He led us down the path of a second referendum, and I'm afraid Emily Thornberry did as well. She said to one of my colleagues, I'm glad my constituents aren't as stupid as yours. I'm sorry, it's not acceptable. The Keir Starmer led us to a policy that did not listen to Labour Leave voices who urged caution. He led us down the path of a second referendum, and I'm afraid Emily Thornberry did as well. She said to one of my colleagues, I'm glad my constituents aren't as stupid as yours.
Where is?
I'm sorry, it's not acceptable. The Keir Starmer led us to
Playing
a
again.
policy that did not listen to Labour Leave voices.
Let me
who
just find
caution.
Right, get rid of that. Yeah, guys. I mean, just they're in. Oh, here we go. We have Angels with us as well. Let me just add Angels to the stream as well. Hello, Angels.
Oh.
Have we got you on the audio, Angel? Hello. I tell you what, every time Angels comes on, she always has technical issues. I'm sure Angel would join us when she sorted her sound out. So yeah, just from that clip, Cam. I mean, that was your MP, wasn't it, Caroline Flint? She's clearly not happy, is she?
No, and you know what? I'm surprised. She really was worried, and she campaigned hard, in my opinion, to keep the seat. And she knew this was going to happen.
You know why she was trying to vote for that Tory deal now, wasn't she?
Yeah. It's because the people wanted to leave the European Union, and people saw the force in Parliament. I mean, when people literally thought how we acted in Parliament was a disgrace. I mean, to blocking any sort of deal or arrangement, to blocking even an election, it looked bad. Enormously bad towards people. And almost everyone at Dorset thought it was just out of touch with us. Because people around it voted leave, not because they were racist when people hammering it. I've seen people on Twitter saying the country was racist for this election result. That's not true either. People were saying things like people are too stupid. That's not true either. People voted leave for enormous range of reasons. It was mainly because every party took them for granted, and there were no way of protesting against what's happening in the community. Some of the most deprived communities in this country voted leave. So many mining villages that are next to no investment in them voted leave. and nobody caught on. Nobody caught on that the high streets in this part of the country were almost empty, and people wanted something different.
Yeah.
People saw globalization as some sort of a movement against them. People saw the direction we went in and didn't like it. And when it comes to immigration, people thought that immigration should be lowered. Most people didn't think that. Most people thought that had the perception that immigration made them worse off. And the reason they had that is partially because of the media. And it's partially because there's next to no jobs around here. So when they see people in employment, people get angry because they can't get jobs themselves. And that's it. It underlines so many issues. And a lot of people caught on. Look, I honestly think the problem was with the Labour Party is that so many people believe they're all right and they want to listen and talk to people about these issues. And they force upon what they believe in without consulting anyone. Voices like mine were completely ignored on this. And so were Caroline's. I just think people need to stop discussing things in behind closed doors and actually go out and talk to people and listen to what people say before doing something.
Yeah. No,
well, can I respond to that?
Can't disagree. Yeah, go on.
Well, I get what Karen's saying totally, and a lot of the issues you raise about the lack of investment and the lack of jobs, of course, isn't necessarily a result of the EU doing it. Of course, it's a result of the Tories and their austerity plans, and of course, the entire economic system as a whole. Laissez-faire and conservatism requires no government-led investment. But of course, lots of people voted Brexit. As a Brexit vote is what I'm gathering. Sorry, lots of people voted Brexit as a protest vote is what I'm gathering from what you said there. But surely people must have realised that it went wrong somewhere along the way, that it wasn't much of a protest vote if the likes of Jacob Rees-Mogg, most established person starts backing it, is what I don't get. And personally, I still back the second referendum policy, just mostly out of principle more than anything, because I still don't believe
it doesn't matter anymore.
Brexit is right for the working class, because it's just going to, because the only future foreseeable is just constant deregulation. And of course, more austerity on steroids, a massive black hole we're going to have in government income post-Brexit. Philip Hammond predicted £59 billion. And with a Tory government, what are you going to expect?
There is one small problem with that, though.
An economic approach? Of course they're not. Of course they're not. But yeah, I get that. Labour was out of touch with the voters. But their manifesto alone should have provided that hope. They should have realised, oh wait, this manifesto can solve the majority of these problems regarding a lack of investment and a lack of employment. But
the message didn't get out, did it?
Can I say
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
All right, Cam, go on. You come back in. Go on.
I must say that the manifesto, the majority of the manifesto was liked by people I spoke to. People thought the Labour Party wasn't for them.
Okay, you felt
and you made a point about backing second referendum principle, right? A lot of people back the principle of actually honouring democracy. That is so important to people around here, and it's so people see the second referendum as an attempt as a continuation of the Remain campaign to ignore the concerns they have about society.
Can I just say?
And when you have people constantly go up to these people and say you got it wrong, no, it's not, the UP had nothing to do with it. It was the government. Fine, that's some truth to it.
Yeah.
But people wanted to leave because of those reasons, as well as the lack of democracy, as well as lack of representation, as well as them being completely ignored. And I thought we need to go in there and actually talk to these people, actually listen, address their concerns, and actually work with them.
But you can't address them concerns with the type of media we've got at the moment, which was a massive nail in the coffin. Our manifesto was popular, but it was never reported on. The vast majority of people don't read the manifesto.
The media has a role, but you can't ignore people and hand the Conservatives a majority, and that's what we just did. We could have done what we did in 2017 and actually respected it. and we were in a better position today.
Yeah, Callum, sorry, you wanted to come in. Thanks, Cam, for that.
I was just going to say, as someone who would have backed a second referendum, would have wanted to remain, still think remaining would be the best thing. The problem now is people who claim the second referendum wasn't just a vehicle to remain in the European Union are lying to themselves. You should admit, second referendum is so that we can remain. I always recognised that. I always advocated a second referendum because I wanted to remain. I wanted to remain. I wanted to revoke Article 50. And the second referendum I thought would be a way of getting that. It's a tool. It's not a principle. It's a Machiavellian tool. You should admit that.
Yeah.
But you don't even have to now. No, you don't even have to now because Brexit is going to happen because the Tories have a large enough majority to just wheel it through.
No, it was out of principle. Because it was, I back Remain out of principle. So I don't think that Brexit will be right for the working class. That's why I back it. So yes, it is a principle. That's why I'm not going back in Brexit. But let's talk about the policy quickly. I do agree with you. It was just a sorry excuse for Remain. I think Jeremy Corbyn recognised that in the sense that his Brexit deal is absolutely awful. It will get us nowhere. You can tell by the nature of it. Just if we were to stay in the customs union, that completely curbs our ability to trade with the United States, China, and India. It completely forfeited all future out of Europe if we were to leave Europe. It was just a sorry attempt to remain, and of course I backed it, of course, because I want to remain. But I think eventually Corbyn realised that although being a Eurosceptic his entire career, that if we were to leave the European Union, there's not much of a future there either for a left movement. And in this scenario, it is the lesser of two evils. And I think he recognised that and inevitably moved to the Remain stance. And our party, by accident, morphed into a Remain party. By accident, but also masked as if we were trying to unite both sides of the argument. Because it was just an attempt, really, to convince these Northern Leave voters that we were trying to give them what we wanted with our watered-down Remain Brexit deal. But of course, they saw through that, which was rather unfortunate. But I personally, I still don't think that Brexit was the largest issue. Up north it was, but from experience as well, and a lot of polls, it's showing a lot that Jeremy Corbyn was a massive issue. Like, I love the man. He's a wholeheartedly inspiration, probably like my childhood hero, but yet he was massively unpopular. And for reasons,
and now he'll be regarded as, and now he'll probably be regarded as the second worst Labour leader in the history.
Well,
the only one regarded worse would be Ramsay MacDonald due to what he did.
We got stuff like IRA terrorist or national security threat, Marxist, anti-Semite. None of these are remotely true, but yet that's the thing. People will repeat them now, and people on the doorstep, they especially repeat them. I don't like the leadership, but they can never tell you why or any example as to why Jeremy Corbyn's a Marxist terrorist, anti-Semite. And that's what I mean about the media script over this country. We've got, if you just think about it, we took on way too much in this election. We took on Brexit, we took on the Tories. We're not just the entire establishment, but also the entire media. It's like we took on the world. The media and the Tories being backed by billionaire lobbyists. And it's like you can't compete with that level of influence and control all at once. We took on the entire world and expected to win, which was something rather silly on our behalf there.
You didn't try hard enough.
Didn't try hard enough? What else do you want us to do? Did you see our campaign? Did you see the momentum movement? We were on buses from bloody Cardiff.
Well, the biggest problem is...
Okay, let's not all talk at once.
Campaign enough. Bloody hell,
Let's really, I know it's a quite an emotive subject. Just want to introduce to our viewers, John Cooper's with us now as well. It's a popular stream tonight. We've got 5 or 6 of us on. Cooper, we've just been discussing, as you've just heard the last few minutes, the possible reasons why the Labour Party's election campaign fell on its knees with, as you mentioned a few minutes ago, the worst sort of outcome of an election in many, many years. What's your take, John?
Well, I'll just tell you that when I saw the exit poll, I was devastated. I just couldn't believe that we would fall all so that low. I just couldn't believe we could be below 200 seats, which Turns out we didn't, but we've managed to get a result worse than Michael Foot, which is saying a lot, since for a long time Michael Foot has always been like, oh, if you go too left wing, you end up like Michael Foot. Well, now the saying will probably go, you go too left wing, you end up like Jeremy Corbyn.
But this is where history's repeated itself.
Yes.
Again, Tom.
I mean,
There's a clear cycle in this.
Everyone thought, let's see, at least from what I've had in chat group, let's see, at worst, Corbyn would be a Kinnock, where he became a Michael Foot. Unfortunately, he's probably, in history, won't be kind to him, as I'd be certain he'll be regarded as Labour's worst leader post-World War II. Though, granted, I'd probably say academics probably still
maybe.
Let me finish. I'd probably argue Ramsay MacDonald is still the worst leader Labour's ever had, due to he got into bed with the Tories, the National Unity Government, and resulted in Labour going from 270 seats to 50. But hey.
Yeah. Okay. So we've just been discussing why that is, and I think Tom raises a really good point here. Is that some of the leaders that you've just talked about previously, and you're comparing against Jeremy Corbyn, haven't had the challenges that Jeremy Corbyn has in terms of what Jeremy was trying to achieve with the Labour Party. And I think, as Tom, I have to throw Jeremy a lifeline here that, yes, factually and statistically in losing of seats, he may have owned those things, those feats, no doubt about it. But I have to say that in 2017, Jeremy Corbyn was just the leader of the Labour Party then, the biggest increased share of vote. If you look statistically at the number of votes, even at this,
I will say for 2017, Jeremy Corbyn was the right man for that election. I don't think anyone else could have done what he did in that election. And I think if we had the election in late 2017, or even in 2018, when he wasn't nearly as toxic, the Brexit entrenchment did not sink in, and the fact that he still respected the result of the referendum, I think he could have won. I think he could have won.
Yeah.
Be it large party or majority, it is up for debate, but I still think he probably would have been prime minister in those periods.
So fundamentally, what is, and this is where we want to widen this out now, because we have to move on to other subjects as well. Fundamentally, what is the difference between the manifesto? Some may argue that this manifesto was far more radical than even the 2017 one. Same leader, same smearing. In fact, I think in the 2017 election, the smearing worked in Jeremy's favour. It turned a lot of people towards him, a lot of young people especially. Fundamentally, I think I have to bring in Cam's point around the Brexit policy. I think the addition of a second referendum in the 2019 policy was what cost us. And at the end of the day, is if you are going to win an election, you need to keep the seats that you already got and add upon them, just as the Tories have done. And I think it's fair to say, because we've spoken a lot about the Labour policy, let's talk about a little bit around the Conservative campaign, which was an abysmal campaign. There was absolutely no effort in. Boris Johnson didn't turn up to half of the debates. He lied numerous times and was proven factually as a liar. He called working class women. He called working class people lazy. He talked about single mothers in a derogatory manner through pulling out some of his literature that is written, and yet they still won with the biggest landslide victory since Margaret Thatcher. Now, I have to say, when we're looking at this objectively, and I want to pull others in because I don't want to turn this into a Harry stream, is that I think the difference between, other than the fact that Labour had the second referendum, which, as Cam has talked about earlier, turned a lot of northern people away because it was promised in 2017 they would respect the result, and that looks like a blatant contradiction. But I have to say that yes, Jeremy Corbyn on the doorstep but he was vilified as a liar, and he was seen as a liar. But I have to say that the Brexit policy, this is on a personal level, and I have to say that the Brexit policy of the Conservative Party was the clearest message. And I was often laughing at him on the TV when he kept on saying, turning every question into, let's get Brexit done. But actually, for all of those northern voters, and actually, I have to say, guys, to many Remain voters who who swallowed that and believed that pill that Boris Johnson will now get rid of this issue that's lingered over us for a number of years, and maybe that will not be the case. I think that's why their message was clear. Voters knew what they were offering. Labour's message wasn't. There was a second referendum attached to it, and although that would have pulled in, hopefully for Labour, the Remain vote, well, the Remain vote was split between a few parties, and that's what I think fundamentally, personally, what failed for Labour.
I don't see it. I see. If history has taught us anything, there's a clear cycle going on with the Labour Party. It happens every time. What we do, forget Brexit for a moment. What we do is we move left, right? We move left. We get, I say radical. There was nothing radical about our manifesto. By technical terms, it was barely social democratic. The argument in the UK is so far right of the centre, something anywhere near the centre ground is seen radical. But anyway, regardless of that, there's a clear cycle, right? Labour moves to the left, like Jezza, like Michael Foot. They get absolutely destroyed in a campaign, right? Totally destroyed, like Michael Foot did, right? For example. And how do they get destroyed? Well, it's usually a very harsh media campaign, but regardless. So then Labour makes a series of compromises. We compromised with Kinnock. That wasn't enough. We then compromised eventually to Blair. That was enough. The media were back on our side. We had less against us. But what did it take to compromise to Blair? Well, by the time we compromised to Blair, we were no longer a threat to the establishment. We no longer represented the working class. We were no longer a party, an organised party of the workers. We were instead a party which represented middle-class views. We became neoliberal in economics and, of course, represented the interests of the billionaires, bankers, and hedge fund managers. If we have ever seen anything, this is the third time the cycle has repeated itself, is that Labour will now, after Corbyn, want to move to the centre. The left will stand its ground, the centrists will attack us. The party will split in two and will faction off, just like we did with the SDP. And that's the thing. And Labour will become unelectable for many years to come, right? Regardless of Brexit. Because at the end of the day, Labour Party at the moment is a threat to the establishment, right? And the establishment is made up of basically runners and the also on the media just makes it impossible. We got impossible against us, impossible smears against Ed Miliband, especially with Jeremy Corbyn. You'd think this guy would be untouchable with his voting record, but yet they'll just make anything up. Truth doesn't matter. That's the point. Truth doesn't matter. And yet we got all these people on the doorstep completely. Jeremy Corbyn, IRA sympathiser, terrorist, anti-Semite, like he grew up in a bloody London area, and Marx was a Jew, and they're calling him a Marxist, and it's like, it's ludicrous. But of course, like, do we think that democracy was suddenly granted to the British public? Well, just because the establishment were having a good day, they just felt like being nice. It was a means to assert control even further. The left cannot win in our political climate. They cannot win because we just got too much against us. And so arguments when it comes to leftism in the book, reform or revolution. I'm not saying revolution, but something this far left can never win. The only time the Labour Party can win is if we are no longer a threat to the establishment, as history's shown us every single time.
Yeah. That's why what you need to do is you need to directly connect with local communities and be able to build up from the small, because you can't threaten the establishment by saying we're going to set up local cooperatives and worker-led businesses. We're going to directly engage people in local government. We're going to then move forward and suggest that the economy should be worker-run. And the thing is, you build up.
Can I just say,
I think
I would say, if you want to take on the establishment, you don't capitulate to what the establishment's been demanding your leaders to do. And that's just that's not just Brexit. That's a lot of other issues. And Corbyn is capitulated on so many issues like Trident.
Trident has to go.
Well, you say that. Well, the thing is, there's a massive lobby group from the right and the left party have forced Corbyn to maintain Trident, and that was just a start. I mean, people who demanded calling back a second referendum were at the right of the party. And there were people who were behind the New Labour project. People like Arthur Campbell, Tony Blair, Andrew Adonis, Mandelson, who was behind the People's Vote campaign. So keep that also in mind. Now, if Labour wants to win, I will say Labour needs to not go a party where I don't know, academic debate ideology or debate I don't know how to reform the British Constitution or discuss what Benjamin Disraeli did. What we need to discuss is how we engage with the ordinary person. What should we do to produce policy? And the answer to that is actors go outside and talk to other people. Volunteer in the local community and see what the feeling is and see what people think about society. And when they actually just go around with ordinary people, then they realise what's the wrong in society and how you change things. You know, people just want power in their lives. People just want to be able to live comfortably without any trouble. And people just want to be left alone.
We looked at these communities. We looked at people lacking jobs and lacking investment. We looked at the issues that need. We look at our manifesto. We got lots of things about investment, which will help these poorest communities and about employment. We talked about the energy industry to reduce bills. We talked about devolution as well. These policies are supposed to engage with the public. If people read our manifesto, we get loads of votes. But that's the thing. People aren't allowed to see these policies. People don't see these policies.
Right. I'm going to say this again. Most people agree with those policies. But it was not one issue. No. Talk about the railways, talk about universal credit, they'll actually agree with you. That one issue turned them off.
You need to campaign differently.
This is a very much long-term problem. Labour have been taking votes for granted for years in this part of the country.
Excuse me.
The fact the Labour Party still in that election had the audacity to enforce MPs from London into northern areas, like Boris in the south.
I've never agreed with that.
And they still did it. They brought it on themselves. We need to look into people's communities and be the party of local working class people and actually representing them better. And you can do that when you actually have local candidates in local cities.
I agree on that local one.
Excuse me, can I just say one last thing?
Go on, Callum. Go on.
All right, I need to go. But the last thing I was going to say was Cameron is completely right about the disconnect between Labour and people who ought to vote Labour as a rational self-interest point. Labour lost Scotland because it took advantage of Scotland. They expected Scotland to always vote Labour. It stopped voting Labour. The north of England can do the same.
Well, it's on its way, Callum.
And it's on its way. So unless Labour fundamentally alters how it campaigns, how it is structured, how it selects candidates, and builds itself as a party of communities bound together
But
by
surely
some
you
form of
recognise
democratic confederationalism.
But surely you recognise Jeremy Corbyn played a crucial role to democratise the party.
He might have. But he didn't.
He made him.
Be quiet. Sorry.
He might have tried to do that, but he's not succeeded yet. Therefore, people like us need to get into the Labour Party, and we need to hammer the internal party politics as hard as possible to get what is necessary to win. And then we need to go out into the communities and hammer them with Tory lies, Tory austerity, Labour alternatives, and Labour connections. Labour connections from the community to the party to the MPs to the country. Well, you need to keep trying. You need to do better. You can't just roll over and die.
No, but
I think
the entire establishment within the Labour Party was created by Blair. The inner system within the party is full of Blairites and centrists. We've been working with Jeremy Corbyn to democratise the party, give power to the membership, and move it back to the left for decades now. Not decades, but years now. But we've been constantly undermined along the way. We've been trying hard. We've been shouting and screaming that austerity issue and our policies to tackling them. But yet the media can shout louder than us. They always will. People don't read manifestos. People don't. But they do read the headlines. They do read the
Can I
paper.
just say something about the manifestos? On one hand, yes, people liked our manifestos. I think another problem for Labour was, while we had the manifestos, we added more and more policies afterwards, which weren't checked in the manifesto. And it caused a bit of people to be put off because it's like, just keep adding and adding and adding. I mean, I think by the end of it, we probably had enough policies for like 3 terms in government, which on one hand, I like the broadband stuff. I like all that stuff, but at the moment, it should have been saved for a later election. They should have just emphasized the stuff they already had in the manifesto.
I thought I'd just make some point. Everyone's keep mentioning the media. Now, if you look at the history of Labour, the media's always been hostile to Labour.
It has.
Apart from Blair times, the sun was on our side then.
No, Rupert Murdoch.
Except the new Labour.
Best friend.
Let's let Cameron finish.
Except the new Labour years. When Labour won in 1945, the media was like incredibly hostile to the Labour Party.
Yeah, but that's because we had a massive disaster on our hands back then. People needed radical change and they saw it.
That's exactly. It's not
that's
about
the cycle breaker disaster.
It's not where we are now.
Could you please stop interrupting Cameron?
The left in the Labour Party doesn't win because of the media's smears. It won because people got together as a community and saw what's happening to them. I mean, war, ironically enough, even though it's horrible, it did bring communities together. And people talked and discussed the problems. People discussed endemic unemployment. People talked about the failure in the 1926 strike. People discussed poverty. And that led to change. And people saw who managed the Home Front and who brought people together, and that was the Labour Party, Herbert Boris.
I think. Go on, sorry, Cam.
And when Churchill was away, basically in the Altar or in San Francisco, the people who actually the man who ran the country when Churchill was away was Attlee as well. So just think about that.
I think as well, what I want to just add to that as well, Cam, is that, and I have to just take in Tom's point as well. He's talking about the media. Jeremy Corbyn was faced with a lot of hostility. You know, it's enough having your enemies, but when your enemies are within you and inside your camp, it actually makes things even harder to execute. And yes, this is where I'm going to be slightly critical of Jeremy Corbyn, is that and with the media as well, I have to say, is that if you're going to have a people-powered movement that Tom talks about, and I was extremely enthused by it, you have to get a bit nasty. You have to take these people on. And I think there was a good opportunity, just as Blair did with a number of MPs on the left. He would have seen himself as cleansing the party. And I think after the coup in 2016, when Corbyn knew that, look, these people are really gunning for me and they're trying to take me down, I think there should have been some. I mean, let me just give you guys a little bit of an example. Just before the election, Boris Johnson purged 20-odd MPs, right? And yeah, there was a little bit of media hysteria for 1 or 2 days. But who's talking about that now? Who's talking about the 20-odd? They're finished, they're gone, they're yesterday's newspaper. And that's really why Boris Johnson is in the position that he is in now, because he is shown what you could call leadership on the issue. There were people in his way of delivering Brexit. He removed them, he got out, he got rid of them, and that helped him with this clear road of where they are now. Now, Mr. Corbyn, we love him because of his ethos, his moral backbone, his moral compass, as a person, but he has been too nice. Let me give anti-Semitism as an example here. I don't want to talk about anti-Semitism before Cooper jumps in, so I'm just going to give it as a very, very quick example, is that anti-Semitism was proven through the casework and the statistics to, is it what, 0.02% of the party, or around about that figure. It was very, very extremely low. But continuously, the people from within were continuously using anti-Semitism to weaponize against Jeremy Corbyn. He's not doing enough. Well, let's just go over some facts. He was the institutor and the starter of a process to tackle anti-Semitism, yet the media didn't really blow that up as a celebratory fact. In a number of other areas, is that we should have been as a party stronger and not complicit, not complicit with this institutional problem that so-called the Labour Party has. That's just one example, but there are many examples where I think, again, Jeremy Corbyn should have been coming out a lot more clearer on the Brexit policy, which now it's a factor that it's seen as something that wasn't working and wasn't appreciated on the doorstep, hence why people did turn against Jeremy Corbyn. But he's had a very, very difficult time, and I must say that he has had to take on so much. So we have to take these conclusions. You know, we're talking about Michael Ford and other leaders and whatnot. He has had to deal with the most adverse conditions of any leader of any political party, I must say, and I think he's done well to rise above it, because actually I feel that he should have been more aggressive. I just saw Angela Rayner on those last few debates that she did, and I watched nearly all of the debates, and I thought Jeremy Corbyn needs to be more like that. You know, she was absolutely going in, interrupting the Tory guy when he was chatting shit, and absolutely going in with the bullets and ripping them apart. And I think that's what the people want to see. And I want to move this debate on now, guys, because I know we've been quite emotive, and the last sort of subject I want to sort of bring in before we do wrap up today, and we have touched a little bit on the internal fightings that's going on, and I want to bring in the subject of the next leader now, just as a sort of round robin on this.
Where's Callum gone, by the way?
Yes,
Callum gone.
Callum said he was going a few minutes ago, and he did leave us. So Angels was also supposed to join us, but it seems as if she's having some technical issues. But when she's in, we'll add her. Cam, let's start with you on this one. What in terms of leadership now moving forward, and taking into consideration and context everything that we've spoken about tonight now, you have a really, really clear and I really like your logic, Cam. I really like sort of your reasoning in terms of what's wrong with the Labour Party at the moment. But who, for you, is the leader that is going to fulfil those objectives that you talk about, Cam? Or is there more than one?
To be honest, it's hard. It's very hard to say. At this moment, I don't know who's going to run in this election, so I can't really answer it. But a lot of people out there are suggesting Jess Phillips, Keir Starmer, and Emily Thornberry. I think those three people will make things worse.
Yeah.
They'll make the problems that we're facing look
worse. Why, Cam?
When I was campaigning, Keir Starmer was almost as legally hated as Corbyn was.
Yeah. I mean, he's a Brexit secretary that's trying to go for Remain. I mean,
Emily Thornberry has been acting like a complete utter snob to people.
Yeah.
Multiple occasions.
We heard the clip earlier.
Like with the clip with Flint and with the thing about the English flag outside houses. Remember that?
Yeah.
And Emily Thornberry is a millionaire landlord, or landlady, should I say. Jess Phillips. So many things with Jess Phillips.
Well, we could do a whole stream on Jess Phillips. We could do a whole stream on reason. In fact, let's do that, guys. Let's do a stream next week on why Jess Phillips should not be the next Labour leader. Let's do that, guys. Yeah, tune in Sunday night.
I'll be revoking my membership if he is.
Yeah.
Oh, I tell you what, I think the membership would be halved overnight, Tom. But yeah, Cam Goran. So you're talking about who shouldn't be leader, but who's the closest for you that fits the mold?
Right. Before I answer that, I'll just say something that's coming out. A couple of former MPs have been very impressive. Like, as time goes on, I'm liking Gordon Peel even more because she, even though I don't, she's too right wing to me. She's
Who's that? Gloria Del Piero, did you say?
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
coming out with things about how Labour disconnected working class people, and she's right. And so I'm out of people who I think could lead the Labour Party. I think I'm leaning towards Lisa Nandy
Okay.
as the best person to actually address the problems we're facing. If Lisa Nandy keeps most of the economic positions that Labour had in 2017, not 2019, but 2017, but then actually tries to understand these working class communities and actually listen to them on Brexit.
She's from up north. She was trying to go for Brexit, absolutely, because of her constituents. She's from outside of London. She's quite media savvy as well. She's often on the news channels, isn't she? Reporting on stuff. She made that go down well with certainly the northern voters. So Lisa Nandy for you, Cam, is that who you'd go for?
I'm leaning towards Lisa Nandy, yes.
Okay. Tom, if what's the Durham's Durham MP that lost her seat? I forget her name now.
Laura
Pidcock.
Pidcock, yeah. If Laura Pidcock was still around, I think you'd maybe go in for her, wouldn't you?
No, I think at the moment, I think this stream's been a prime example of what not to do. Because look at us, right? We're already arguing amongst ourselves. We're going to tear ourselves apart as a party, right?
Yeah,
this is the issue. This is the issue. Like I said in the past, every time every time the left gets into power in the Labour Party and gets utterly destroyed in an election, we were right all along. The lefties want to hold their ground, and we tear ourselves to shreds, right? The SDP is an example. We split in half, we fractionate, and we don't get elected for years. If we split now, if we divide, we won't get elected, and we can't do anything if we're in opposition for 20 years, right? So here's the issue. You talk about purging the Blairites and stuff. That won't do us any good. If we can't do that for the current establishment within the Labour Party. Blair made it so. Blair took power away from the membership and created a bourgeoisie within the Labour Party. He made himself supreme leader. Corbyn's done a job at democratising it, but he didn't manage to finish it. It's an issue, right? So, and even if we did purge, the media would be saying, Stalinist Corbyn does this. Yeah, Boris was lucky because he has the media on his side. But at the moment, I think what we need to be doing is both sides need to compromise and we need to come together. We need to unite. We need to go, okay, so we lost massively here. What can we do? Splitting will not do us any good whatsoever. Ideally, we need to compromise. A problem with rights and centrists at the moment is they demand compromise after compromise after compromise. You compromise once and they keep demanding, as the Blairites have clearly shown. And Campbell, you can tell with the ego, they've got this air of superiority around them and they're just a pain in the ass. But then again, a left are so principled that we never want to move. We need to find this in between. We need to find an Corbyn and in between Blair. We need somebody untouchable by the media. I love Jezza, but he had too much baggage. He had the IRA. He had all of this nonsense. We need someone untouchable. Personally, as I know Cameron's not going to like this, but I think Keir Starmer might be a good idea because he's got the working class background, and he's got the good. Also, he's got the fact that he worked his way into good schools and got to the very top of the legal system. He's got the brains. And he's got the charisma in the sense that both the left of the party and the centre of the Labour Party seem to like him. And of course, there's the second referendum issue, which, of course, may not come off. And Cameron, you talk about revitalising, again, back in touch with communities. But personally, I think we tried to do that with our manifesto because our section on devolution I thought was top quality, but it didn't help how we were parachuting MPs. That's got to stop. I agree with you there. But personally, I think we need somebody who we can compromise on. There'd be a good way to break the cycle, I suppose. It's pacified, shut up the media, but also keep the left alive, would be to give the appearance of compromise. If we were to change the leadership in the cabinet, get Keir Starmer as leader, and mix up the cabinet. Have Kinnock, have McDonnell, have Bergen, and what's her name, Long Bailey, but also maybe have Hilary Benn. If we broaden it out, give the appearance that we're moving centre, but if we keep that manifesto, I think we'll be in for a laughing. Because if Brexit inevitably, as it does, because I know that Cameron, you may believe in Brexit, but whether we like it or not, because the Tories are orchestrating Brexit, we're not gonna get any richer, to say the least. So if people get a lot poorer, but we make the appearance that we're moving to the right, we're untouchable by the media. The media won't have the smears they got against us now, like the loony left and all that kind of stuff. But if we keep the manifesto, this will be perfect to whip out in a time of crisis.
Good evening, by the way.
And it's not like. And the issue is the only thing that the media will be able to smear us on then would be our left-wing manifesto. But that's the thing. The key point about the media in this election is they are keeping away from the manifesto, keeping the argument away from the manifesto, because it's popular. Because if their only accusation of calling us left-wing is to quote our manifesto, they do us a favour. Because if people look at us and we're not radical and we're not the loony left, people will start to believe it. The media will see straight through it, but that's exactly what we want.
Now, listen.
We want the people movement, right, but not actually doing it. This is where I think we could win. We could make
Sorry, do you mind if I?
We could get the success of the landslides of Blair, but without the horrid economics of Blair. But again, it would have to be getting the centrists and the left on board. Take a massive compromise.
I think you can't hear me. I've been trying to.
No, we can. Sorry.
No, we can.
We can hear you. I just want to introduce everybody to Angels. Angels, can you hear us?
Yeah. The thing is, right? I've now tried. Honestly, I'm not kidding. About 4 or 5 like different devices, and they're not even shit ones. But for some reason, this this link, like I can sort of hear you and stuff, but when like you know, and you appear to hear me, but then when I hear it back, it basically sounds really robot and weird. So
we can hear you loud and clear, which is great. So I want to introduce our viewers to our very first female streamer with us, and we're very privileged to have you, Angels, on tonight. And I'm really glad that you managed to sort your technology out. So thank you for joining us tonight. I don't know.
Thanks for having me.
No, always welcome. I'm not sure if you've caught the earlier part of our stream. I think you were commenting in the comments.
I was trying to catch up with it, but whilst I was literally swearing to myself, being like, for fuck's sake, can you just fucking work, please?
Yeah.
I've had an anger management problem ever since the results, basically.
Come on, then tell us. I mean, we're wrapping up in about 10 minutes, so we have a few minutes. But
right.
What's your reaction to the result then?
Right. So, from what I just heard about, hello Tom. By the way, I don't think I know Welsh. Tom.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Yeah. You sound a lot like so. My mum is Welsh and Irish, and you actually do sound like a lot of my family. So,
Okay.
but no, and obviously I can tell, you know, you're a Corbyn supporter and that kind of thing. Now, my mum was actually out leafleting for Labour down south, which obviously is a bit of a no anyway. Like, it would be cool if it kind of happened, but it didn't. Like, we knew that. I used to be a member of Labour, actually, so just to put a little slant on it, you're right, absolutely bang on right with keeping a left-wing manifesto, because the right, and here's my take, and this comes from someone. Pav in the side chat wants to join. Is Pav here?
No,
I don't
he's not.
know who Pav is, so I wouldn't know how to send Pav a link.
He's not here. Yeah, I can forward the link if you want to him.
Yeah, I mean,
you could send a link on the side chat on YouTube. You could try that.
Oh, what you mean? Put the link there?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
okay.
Anyway, so go on, Angels. You were saying.
I was saying, yes, I sorry, I totally, my brain is scrambled when I like focus on one thing. It's all the booze, I swear. But
Never
no,
come on, he's so pissed again.
sorry, no. I'm not pissed yet. I'd really like to be actually, but yeah. No. I was just going back to Tom when he came out with the fact that yes, you can. Oh yeah, yes. Keep a left-wing agenda, but frame it in a centrist manner for the ignoramuses in like Middle England. So it's literally that.
Yeah, and that's what Tom was saying. And who would be your leader then? I know you said you used to be a member of the Labour Party. Sounds like you're warming back, Angels. I know that I've seen you on the chat quite sort of quite pro Lib Dem, I think, in the past. Is that correct to say, or have we lost you again, Angels? Or okay, we may have lost.
Do you want me to say who I think should be leader?
Go on then. While you are there, Cooper, we're waiting for Angels to come back in. And I'm trying to get this over to Pav too. So while you're doing that, I'm listening to that. I'll do that. Go on. Who do you think then should be leader?
There are two people who I think probably be the best chance, which will be either Rebecca Long-Bailey or Lisa Nandy. Granted, I'm a bit worried now that due to the devastating loss Corbyn has gotten, if anyone associated with Corbyn would be just too toxic now.
He is, though, isn't he?
I think so, Cooper, yeah. I agree.
I don't think John McDonnell should probably be in the It's one of the reasons I don't think John McDonnell said he's going to be in the next cabinet.
He's brilliant. I can't lose him. He's just so great.
He's not going to be, though. He's already said that he wouldn't.
Yeah, but unfortunately, he's regarded too much as would be regarded as Corbyn 2.0 or Corbyn's right hand. It's also why Diane Abbott should not go in. I've actually talking to someone that said refused to vote Labour just because of Diane Abbott. So unfortunately, we've got to see to that. But hey,
yeah.
So you're going for RLB then?
Yeah, Rebecca Long-Bailey mostly. My preference would be Rebecca Long-Bailey due to the fact she's similar and Corbyn on the economics and all that stuff. Probably not as witty it's left of him, but I think on that spectrum. I think she's shown herself to be quite good at debater, given that I think she took part in one of the leadership things and even did one of the PMQs. And she's better at defending herself. But see, and also I think she has the privilege of being from the north, and a Northern Midland MP, which would probably appeal to the seats that we've just lost. The only thing I think might be a bit of a downside is the way she might have backed the Labour's Brexit position. But granted, she could always say, let's see, we were wrong to do that. I think this is how we should do it now.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see. The other one, I'd probably be like Cameron said, Lisa Nandy, who seems at the moment possibly able to reach back to those northern seats and stuff. Granted, I'm a bit iffy on her, given the fact she was behind the Corbyn coup. Or at least she was part of Owen Smith's campaign, at least. So, missing on that. But who knows? Perhaps she seems to at least accepted most of some of Corbyn's economic policies, at least. But I have to wait and see on that.
Sorry, can I? I'll keep it short. I just keep it short, if I don't mind.
Hold on.
Go on, Tom.
I've still got more to say.
Okay, no,
yeah, we haven't got all night, mate.
Let's see. Third choice would be Angela Lehner, but the ones that I think should not be leader are Keir Starmer, Emily Thornberry, Jess Phillips, for reasons Cam did, and another one I think that's also been talked about is David Lammy. None of those should run for Labour leader. I think they would probably be the death of the party, any attempts to regain the seats that they've lost. But anyway.
I'll keep it really short. I just want to say one thing about Keir Starmer, though, is he worked with Corbyn. He showed that despite disagreeing with him politically, he's willing to put the interest of the party first. Anyway, that's what I want to say about Starmer. What I want to say about Rebecca Long-Bailey is I think she's excellent, absolutely outstanding. She's really good speaker, and I love her politics. She's outstanding. But this is the issue. That her politics are the issue, in the sense that I feel that Rebecca Long-Bailey, it's just going to be unfortunately, as it's there, Corbyn without a beard, we're just going to have the same issue. We're going to have the same bullying
Well,
that Corbyn had by
I could
the
say the
media.
same issue with Keir
smearing.
Starmer.
No,
I could
because
say
that's the thing. Keir's untouchable by the media.
Here's the thing with Keir Starmer is that fact that he's probably, besides Tom Watson, he's regarded as the mastermind who pushed Labour into the Remain direction. Like Cameron said, Leavers are not going to like Keir Starmer because he dragged Labour into that
Brexit
position.
will be done by the next election. We'll just have to forget about Brexit. This is more important now. But anyway, what I'm getting out with Rebecca, she will be destroyed by the media in the same way Corbyn was, I reckon. I think this could be an issue. Richard Bergen, I think, is excellent. But the thing is, he's a crap speaker, and I don't mean to be unfair to the guy. He's excellent, but he comes across horribly, and I think he'll be a disaster for the party. But the thing about Longbeard is she's excellent, but she'll be destroyed, absolutely destroyed.
Can I say the last thing the party needs is another London-based leader?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, if you let me, guys, tell you my thoughts, and a lot of these names have been thrown into the hat. I have to say that my automatic choice would be somebody like Rebecca Long-Bailey for the reasons that you've all talked about. She's amazing. She's excellent. She's a great speaker. She's intelligent. She's got a northern accent, which always helps. I agree with you, Cam, as well, that I think, you know, one of our failures, one of the things that we've been discussing in this stream tonight, it's about this fact. It's as Tom was saying, you know, we have been far too become known as the London-centric club for middle England, you know, which doesn't mean that we are sort of going away. We should be a party for everybody, but I do think that the direction that we need to be going in is we need to be forming trust and relationships with the northern seats that we have lost, and I think absolutely Rebecca Long-Bailey would be excellent. She does have baggage because she's going to be remembered for her association in the shadow cabinet of Corbyn, and actually very loyal and faithful to him. Many of the names that we've talked about will be. Lisa Nandy may be a good outside for the establishment and media because she's generally speaking been quite critical, I think.
Hi guys.
Oh, you're back again.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Well, first of all, I was being yelled at, but because apparently there was like a minor power cut in the area. So I'm like, oh shit, I must be kind of, you know, chucked out. But apparently I wasn't. So yeah.
Okay, brilliant. We've got back the angels, never without drama. We like that on our stream. So I was going through my choices for the next leader. I'm nearly wrapped up, and then I'll get you to do yours, Angels, if that's okay, and then we'll wrap the whole thing up, if that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. So, as I was saying, same. I think that in terms of who I'm a big no for Keir Starmer, and again because I think although Tom says, and I agree with you, that Brexit should be forgotten about in that time, he will always be remembered for the Remainer. The Brexit secretary, ironically, who was a Remainer. So for me, Keir Starmer, although I agree with your reasonings around that, Tom, I'm not so sure. Say again.
Or we could just go for a different centrist. Starmer was just an example, but sorry.
Yeah. But this is I'm sort of coming to my conclusion on this now. In that, who is the person that I think can bring both sides together? Because I absolutely agree with you, Tom. That's who, you know, all of this infighting, all of this sort of left versus centre versus right, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Angela Rayner is
absolutely not. She would not get elected in Middle England in a million years. Look, this is the harsh reality of it, right? We have a relative. God, people are going to hate me for this. You know what? Bring on the hate, because this is true. We have a relatively bigoted country. You have to appeal to people's sort of mild prejudice, but you have to do it in a way where you become electable in order to get in power to work left. So you talk right, go left.
And I think that's the reason why I would pick Angela Rayner, because she's working class. She's you know, worked from the bottom upwards, really. She's working class. She's got, you know.
That's the problem, though, because remember, without Scotland, you have to get Middle England.
No,
If you think that Middle England is going to vote for Andrew Rayner, you are living in cloud cuckoo land. Seriously,
I'm going to have to intervene in this one.
Go on, then.
The next election's not going to be about getting Middle England. It's about getting the areas that was lost to the Conservatives, the working class commuters that lost. I don't really care about the home country.
but it's not only them.
It's not about, that's not about like,
It's not. You talk about London centric. You go Northern centric.
Exactly.
This election, it needs to be about getting back those votes. Or we're done for. This is going to be worse for Labour than losing Scotland.
Yeah, but the fact is, Cam, is that you are basically being as ridiculous as the Labour Party being only Southern, because you have to basically keep together the albeit tenuous pact between all of these voters, or you won't win. End of.
Well, I think Angel's attempts to attract Middle England is, as this election has shown. Look, we need to be a party that appeals to everybody. This is the problem.
That's what I mean. It has to be inclusive.
Even if we get all the North, we still have a majority.
Exactly. That's my point. These people live in fucking cloud cuckoo land. Oh, let's be working class. Let's like wipe our asses on the Sun newspaper, because suddenly. No, look, you have to get people who basically a lot of working class people probably hate. Let's face it. But you need them. You need them.
We're not.
Okay. So who's your person then, Angels? Who's your person then? Because I think you've given a really good sort of précis as to who it shouldn't be and why not. But who's that guy or girl for you then that can please North and South and
I don't think it's pleasing. I think it's what can they stomach. So the way that I view it is. If there is a candidate, I'm not sure exactly who the candidates are yet. I can't actually, like the honest answer is I can't answer that yet because I don't know. But who can get the liberal kind of centre-left wealthy-ish voters on board, along with probably Remainers.
Well, that's what we're asking you, Angels. Well, who's your person?
Well, that's my entire point. They need to get them, but they also then have to be this fixation with it has to be a northern working class woman is pathetic. This is exactly why Labour loses.
I think you've hit it nail right on the head there. That's spot on.
So, Angels, we need names though. We're talking about a lot of because we need.
You know what? Well, look, like I said, you need a figurehead that looks like Blair, but then you have to have the manifesto right now. So what you do is you front it up with someone like him. You pretend that Blair, but you're actually not. I mean, we know that the electorate are bigots, right? So therefore, all you have to do is just tell them a lie over and over and over and over, pretend that Labour's centrist when they aren't, frame it in like a manner which looks a little bit centrist, and then impose a left-wing agenda, and they'll lap it up.
Exactly. We have landslide after landslide.
Exactly.
Okay. Listen, I like the theory, but we still haven't got any names from the Angels. So
I don't know the full list, but
leave it in the comments, guys. Whoever can find that really
It's got to be Starmer.
I'm starting to despair what I'm listening to.
This debate is the whole.
Me and Cameron. No. To be fair, Cam, seriously, go on because I know that me and you.
I think that's going to do the opposite. What we need is to actually engage ordinary people. Labour needs to go back to its roots, and that's the only way we're going to get these votes back. And then we look beyond.
Can't we do both though?
But even at our roots, we never got in government. We did once on the back of a massive disaster facing our country.
Parachute George Galloway.
No, not George Galloway.
Guys, listen, it's been a brilliant stream. It's been very emotional. Look, there's the fallout from the election was always going to be very difficult, but I'm so glad that we could end it on a light-hearted note. Angels, we really want to thank you for joining us because you've added a nice bit of personality and disagreement and whatnot. This is what we want, really, really good, healthy, but respectful debate. And listen, guys, just a reminder: if you want to buy a T-shirt like this, not necessarily this one, but if you would like to buy a T-shirt like this, then don't forget to. I want to just plug my friend's company who makes these T-shirts, and that they are called Fan Fabrics. So you can see them up on the screen. I did promise that I would plug him. Angels,
could you possibly make yours a little bit tighter so that we can see your pecs?
Okay, I'll do my best for next time. I'll get into that. Okay, guys, listen, thank you very much. Like I say, we'll probably be back next Sunday with another show. I think we can have a show alone, really, on sort of leadership and whatnot. But it's a really great, healthy debate. Take care, guys. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for having us.
No worries. Bye-bye.